Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Mind Movers Podcast. Glad you could join us for another adventure. Episode. This is episode number 2. And I'm Steven, one of the hosts. You can find me on Twitter at youth_thinking. And I'm joined by the lovely Brando. Introduce yourself.
What's up, y'all? This is Brando. I hope you're excited for episode number 2. I have no idea what we're going to talk about, but it's going to get pretty wild. You can find me on Twitter at mind_of_peace.
I like that. It's going to get wild. It's going to be up to the Twitter crowd.
It's going to be very wild.
And we're also joined by another friend on Twitter. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Johnny, also known as at Astral Awakening.
Hey, what's up, guys? So there's this book I've been reading lately. It's pretty epic, and it's full of a lot of good information on children and nature. The book is called Last Child in the Woods. It's written by Richard Louv. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's about saving our children from, and I quote this, nature deficit disorder. It's backed by a lot of child psychologists and studies and research, and it basically talks about how a lot of mental disorders that kids are subjected to can be related to their lack of nature in their life. JJ, have you been reading anything lately?
Not necessarily. I work a lot, and I was never really too much of a reader. Just watch videos, learn by doing,
I feel you.
The book you're reading sounds pretty interesting. We obviously need nature. It's here for a reason, like the trees weren't here.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of studies where they compare like kids playing on blacktop playgrounds and kids playing in a playground that's more like natural, like with mulch or like with trees and stuff. And the kids playing with the nature and stuff, they're more imaginative. They have a bigger imagination, whereas the kids on the blacktop are just kind of like robots. They're not as imaginative or creative, and it also shows in their schoolwork.
Turn that shit on silent.
Hold up. But yeah, this book, it talks about how children need the nature to help learn, and it's a better environment. And even when you're playing, they have this good line where they say a toy will always be a toy, but nature can be anything you want it to be. Like, you can look at a hill and you can ask a kid what they see, and they'll all say 5 different things. Whereas if you tell them to look at a swing set, they're always going to see a swing set. Or if they look at a G.I. Joe, they're going to say it's a G.I. Joe. A stick can be so many things. If you have a stick, you can have a wand, you can have a sword, you can have whatever you want.
And you look up at the clouds, especially when you're young, and you're just like, what do I see? I see this, I see that. Stars, too. You make constellations of your own.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the imagination is there with stuff that's always been rather than what's been manufactured into our lives.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. I used to always look up at the stars. I wish we had more around here, but you could look for the Big Dipper, or you could just kind of look up at the lines and just make your own drawing. Kind of imagine your own thing.
Yeah, it's a good way to spark creativity.
So, Astral, did you say you were reading a book currently or no?
No.
What kind of videos are you watching currently? Or is it just random every time?
It's basically like whatever I find that's new, that captivates my mind. I started off with the spirit science videos. They had some really good ones on YouTube. They removed some of them, but they talk about different dimensions, astral projection, Atlantis, Osiris, Egyptians, like everything, man. I just want to learn about history, learn about myself, how I can prove myself spiritually, physically, how I can be a better person any way that I can, and live happily.
I see. So basically, just whatever you're kind of feeling you want to learn that day, you'll look up, but you have a few that you come back to on YouTube.
No, not necessarily. The spirit science, they delete a lot of ones that I talked about that I actually watched, and I talked about them a lot. The one was about Jesus, and that was really interesting to me, but it was a bit complex for my mind. They were saying that Jesus was an interdimensional being created through Joseph and Mary. I believe that Joseph and Mary are the parents of Jesus, but as far as it goes in the astral plane, I don't see it as plausible as it
I see.
could be.
I could see how that gets kind of confusing.
Because we weren't there, like everybody talks about Jesus and this and that. He's a son of God, but we were never there. We didn't know when he was born. We didn't know what he did because people have it misconceived. I heard that he traveled west and studied Buddhism. It makes sense. Buddha could ascend. It's pretty much nirvana. Nirvana is ascension, going to a higher dimension. So if Jesus studied Buddhism, then it's possible that he learned ascension through that. That's just my opinion and my thoughts of him.
That's an interesting way to look at it. It's a very interesting way to look at it.
I've always kind of looked at religion as a metaphor for the self and the ego. So the devil being the ego and Jesus or God being the self. And we have both within us. So I don't know. I haven't really studied too much religion, so I don't really force my opinions down people's throats, I guess. I'm not out preaching about it, which I've actually never heard you talk really about religion, or not heard, but seen you on Twitter talking about it too much, Astro.
Yeah, that's because people have their own opinions, and I can't sit there and bash one religion just because I'm many religions. I'm Buddhist, Taoist, pacifist, monist. There's just so many things out there that I believe in and so many things that I don't believe in. I can't just go with one, so I just create my own.
I see.
As far as you said with God and the devil, I believe that is a part of us. I feel that we're in a constant battle with our mind, whether we make good choices or wrong choices. It's all within us. We all have good and evil.
So that's the yin and yang.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That's the yin and yang. I mean, it's everywhere. People like to say there's no yin and yang, but it's there. You can see it every corner you turn. There's an up and there's a down. Life is this roller coaster where we're going up and we have these great moments and they're good, but then we drop back down to the bottom. But you come back up. You go back down. It's a crazy ride.
Riding an amusement park, like Bill Hicks said?
Yeah, Bill Hicks, right? That's what he said. That's all life basically is.
I don't know if you guys ever watched Life of Pi, but...
Oh my gosh, yes.
It was pretty religious. Spoiler alert, the end, the guy, he basically says, why was that such a dramatic story when that's not really what happened? And, the guy at the end said, well, if it wasn't a super dramatic story, would you still remember it? Would you listen to the whole thing? Obviously, I'm not saying it exactly how the movie was. I'm kind of paraphrasing, but that kind of made sense to me. Look at how long the Bibles last. If it wasn't outrageous and a giant, metaphor about Noah's Ark and all these things, would it really last as long as it's lasted, or would it just be another book we kind of toss underneath the bookshelf or at the bottom of the bookshelf?
You can see that with news as well. I mean, who would actually watch the news if there wasn't a crazy, outrageous story happening? No one wants to hear those boring stories, so they kind of create or make up or over dramatize these minor incidences, and they continuously talk about them and make them into this big ordeal. And they did that with religion. They do that with a lot of things.
Yeah, that's propaganda. They shove everything down your throat. They make you feel like shit if you're doing one thing, but we're humans. We have our own choices that we have to make. We have to live by our own standards. Why satisfy someone else's? And I just feel that we're really suppressed by the people that are forcing religion, or countries like China. They're forced to be Buddhist, I mean, I'm all down for Buddhism, but in the same aspect, they don't have the freedom to do what they choose to do in life. Only certain families, though. My manager, he wanted to be a lacrosse player. his parents didn't want him involved in sports, so he's managing a restaurant along with them.
Right. Yeah.
It's just all opinions that we all have. We should follow them instead of, oh, one day like we'll all break free of the suppression. It'll happen soon. Albert Einstein did say we would have a cosmic religion in the future.
It's happening, man. That revolution is all around us. I see people changing all the time. I'm talking to people that maybe at one point I thought were closed-minded, which is a closed-minded thought for me to think that they're closed-minded, but I was closed-minded at one point too, and I've talked to them in recent times, and it's like, wow, you actually understand what I'm saying. I didn't realize you would even have the same thoughts as me. It's very surprising.
People are waking up everywhere. It's beautiful. I love it. Anytime somebody asks me a question, I guide them as thoroughly as I can, give them the advice, my opinions. I don't tell them what's right and what's wrong. I just tell them how I feel and let them think about it how they choose to, you know?
Yeah, just throw your opinion out there. I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, think before you speak," but maybe perhaps people should think before they assume when they're listening to people. A lot of people assume before they even think about what people are saying, because there are more than one meanings to things. Not everyone has the same meaning for every single word, or they say things in ways that other people don't understand, or there's hidden messages.
Yeah, there's misconceptions.
I'm actually reading a really good book because we were talking about religion. I've only been exposed, or sometimes more than exposed, kind of like told that Western religion is the way to go. So I guess I kind of stumbled upon Eastern religion, and it's kind of weird that Astral mentioned it. They're forced to learn Buddhism in, was it China? So
yeah,
it's like completely flipped from us. And I think it's important for people to kind of check out Eastern religion if they're from the United States or from the UK, and kind of get a different perspective on things. So I started reading a book. It was actually, what is it? I forgot. Is it Hinduism?
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, and it's like they have just great lines in there about how, you know, it's important to kind of be silent sometimes and not always talk about your opinions or just go around preaching things. Sometimes It's better to just keep them to yourself. And I don't know, it's just, I guess I've always grown up being the type of person that's like, defend yourself, defend your arguments, debate.
Yeah, me too.
Like logic, and, you know, all these Western philosophers have talked about that. And I guess now I'm just diving into the other side of the world and seeing maybe silence and meditation and slowing down the thoughts might actually be a way to round myself out, I guess.
Perhaps being a bit more humble.
Yeah, and it's like they talk about things like thinking being another sense, no different from smelling, tasting, seeing. To me, that's kind of a wild thing to kind of think about, because we treat our thoughts as if they are us, and it's possible that they're not.
Yeah, it's possible that our thoughts are just some crazy thing in space that we don't even understand because it's inside of us. Our mind and our consciousness is like inside of us, but if we could step outside of our consciousness and take a look at it, then perhaps we could see what it is. But like, as it's inside of us, because it's so internalized, the only way to completely understand our consciousness is to see it externalized, to see it from an outside perspective. So like, you're on Earth and you don't really understand where you're at, but like if you went on a spaceship into space and then you looked at Earth, you'd be like, I know exactly where I'm at, in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
You know, you gain a lot of perspective from looking at things from the outside.
Mm-hmm.
That's why people that are like, if you're a scientist and you're studying, I don't know, a new medicine, and perhaps you can't find the answer, but then perhaps some kid or some person who knows nothing about medicine could find the answer because he can see it from an outside perspective. He's not so deep into the subject, so he has a better unbiased opinion about it, or whatever that subject is.
I kind of want to hear your guys' thoughts on what if thinking is part of our senses? We've given it way too much credit. Like, we don't say, I smell that as lavender, so my smell determines who I am. Like, I am me because of my smell or sense of smell. Oh gosh, it's so hard to explain. Do you get what I'm
I get
saying?
what you're saying.
Okay.
Thoughts being another sense, like a sixth sense. I don't know, though. There's too much power to it, though, because, like, you can smell something, but you can't turn a smell into... You can't smell something and create something out of that. I can come up with a thought. I can think something and then externalize that into... If I'm thinking something, I can type it down. You know what I mean? If I'm thinking of a new invention, I can build that invention. But, like, you can't smell something and then recreate that smell. I mean, you can technically,
Well,
but
you might be able to.
technically, maybe.
Let's
like
let Johnny talk about it for a second.
Yeah, what do you got, JJ?
Understand what Steve is talking about, like them being your own thoughts, like creating your own, because like now we have labels for everything because humans put labels like this is chocolate, this is what chocolate smells like. But if we were walking as a fucking caveman, we just smelled this random smell and it smelled like so fruity, like we didn't know what it is. It just smells like heaven. It smells awesome, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And another person walks up with different perception and they walk up and like, man, something smells like shit, you know? Everybody has their own like
That's true.
opinions and feeling on everything. Like it'll smell or taste differently to someone opposed to another perception.
Same with eyesight.
Yeah.
What if we all saw in different colors or different like spectrums and we didn't even understand it? Sometimes I'll be looking at like orange red and I'll be like, oh, that's red, and someone will be like, oh no, that's orange. Or like I'll be looking at red and people will be like, no, that's pink. Well, maybe our vision, our color spectrums are just that much different that we're seeing different colors.
Yeah. They did a study supposedly about guys and girls perceive red differently. Like it's more like vivid to women rather than men, and it's more appealing. It's strange, like it blows my mind that we seriously have two eyes and see one picture like the entire time.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It'd be really weird if we had one eye.
Yeah.
We'd have no depth perception, I guess.
I guess when you study meditation or Buddhism or even probably Hinduism, they'll say things like Zen masters, they have a thought and they just have it, like they do it. They say, I'm tired, so they sleep. I'm hungry, so they eat. Now, you look at someone like me in the Western world, I do things like, I'm hungry. Okay, should I go to McDonald's? No. Should I spend that much money? Probably not. Should I get Taco Bell instead? They have 99-cent tacos. I could do that. Well, I could wait till 5 o'clock. I could wait till 6 o'clock. Well, I could eat now. You see what's happening? Like,
You overthink.
my thoughts are beginning to be way more important than my actual self. And
Well, yeah.
a Zen master has made it so a thought is just an extended sense. Like it's a sense that maybe controls all the other senses, but it's still a sense. It's not who that person, it's not who he is or she is.
Yeah, that's a really good way to look at it.
I still have to study it some more. I probably shouldn't even be talking about it because I don't know really shit about it.
Yeah, but talking about it, even if you don't know anything about it, it might inspire someone else to be like, oh, I wonder what the fuck he's talking about. Let me go look it up.
Yeah. If you want to know someone who's really good with this stuff, you got to check out Uggy on Twitter. It's
yeah.
@_UGGGY.
That guy's the man.
Thing
Yeah,
is I don't know if it's a
feel
guy
that.
or a girl.
It's a guy, I think.
That's what I thought too until I saw like a tweet or something that hinted that she might or he might be a girl. Wait, she might be a girl?
True.
I don't know. I have no idea.
That's why we're anonymous.
Yeah.
True.
They're just not well, people know I'm a male now, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
post pictures often. They know I'm a dude.
Yeah, you're not anonymous.
Nah, not quite.
I really think that the thoughts are becoming less important than the self, because when you're second guessing your thought as your instinct, that's your intuition telling you to go eat because it's time to eat, and you just debate about it, and you're just like neglecting yourself and your thoughts because like you just don't want to listen to your thought. So you're confused on what to do, and you just block your intuition. Anytime I get this spark of intuition, like I get all spontaneous and just do whatever my thought is, just because like I thought of it, it's time to do it. Like it sounds like a good idea. I always feel like my higher conscious is channeling with me, because I'll get some crazy thoughts, I'll get some epiphanies, just all types of stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm the type of person that's very big on ideas, and it's almost to the point where I'm glad I found Buddhism or like Zen books, because it got to the point where thoughts dominated my life, and that's where it starts to become a problem.
I was just gonna ask you what was the name of that book?
Was it the Indian one, the Hindu one?
Yeah, you never named it.
Oh, it's The Nectar of Instruction. And the reason
Nectar.
why I grabbed it was because I don't finish books very well, like before I'm interested in another one.
I have that same problem. I got like 8 books open right now.
Yeah, so this one is actually 96 pages, like a little one. So I guess that's my strategy to finish books, is just buy a small one.
Yeah, I'll have like 4 different books open at one time, perhaps, and I'll just read whatever one I'm feeling. I'll just read some of that. I might switch back and forth between a couple. If it's a book I really, really like, I'll just straight up read that as fast as possible because of how much I enjoy it. I read One Man's Wilderness. I started reading that and I finished it. I'm a slow reader. It took me like 4 days, but that's really fast for me to finish a book.
Dude, 4 days is fast. How many pages was it?
I think it was like 2 something. I think it was like 225.
Oh,
Oh
okay.
man, that'd take me like 4 months.
Dude, yeah, I'm a slow reader. I have a book here. I'm on page like 120 out of 300, and I've been reading it periodically for like a couple months.
Yeah, I love bookmarks because I know they'll get used, and
Dude,
I'll lose the like. I have probably I'm probably the same as Brando. Like, you probably just have 20 books where they're halfway read or a quarter of the way read.
I have this TSA pre-checkup bookmark. I have no idea where it came from. It's the most retarded shit ever.
Earlier, you were talking about how you feel. I think it was Johnny said he feels a movement's happening.
Yep.
We touched on that. Well,
yeah, we touched on it.
I got an article from the New Yorker where they did a study on which news stories go viral. Let me get some guesses here. What do you think? Which stories do you think go the most viral on the news?
What do we mean as viral? Like most listened to?
What kind of stories? Like lots of shares and people paying attention.
I want to say government scandals, like political scandals.
Okay.
I'll go with that.
Political scandals. What about as far as like positive or negative?
Definitely negative. Negative stories go viral like crazy.
Okay.
Pretty much the same thing. It's mostly about people. People like to gossip, talk about who has what, who's not doing what they're supposed to.
I see. So gossip type stories.
Yeah.
Well, cool thing is stories about political scandals, they became just as likely to share it as they would a feel-good story about a cuddly panda. So, political scandals get shared just as much as cuddly panda stories.
It's legit pandas?
No, like that type of story, like a feel-good story, gets shared just as much as a political scandal. So that's pretty big. And it goes on to say that when researchers manipulated the framing of a story to be either negative or positive, they found that the positive framing made a piece far more popular. So that means, in my world, I grew up thinking that everyone liked negative news stories, and maybe they did growing up. But we're seeing a shift where positive stories are more viral and shared than negative news stories.
The only thing I would say about that is it depends on where you're getting your news from, because if you're on like Facebook or Twitter or just even on the internet, I would agree that I think positive stories definitely go more viral. Everyone likes to see that cute, cuddly dog get saved from the river or whatever. But as far as like news coverage on like television, I would say those negative stories are on every single channel. Always. Those cuddly panda stories rarely get shown. So it all kind of depends on where you're getting your news from, too.
Yeah, I think they probably say that. They have to usually when they do a study.
Yeah.
I would have to look into it. I'm pretty sure they list the study on here. They don't usually publish articles without it.
Yeah, you know, I'm actually looking at that page that I think you're talking about. And they do, I think they're focused on like Facebook and Twitter as far as sharing. But on TV, I mean, they just go on and on about the negative stuff. They'll talk about a stupid scandal that happened 4 years ago that really didn't affect anything for like a fucking 2 weeks. Like, just move on. Who really cares about that kind of stuff? Why are you talking about that? Like,
I guess the way I see it is I've grown up to think that negative news stories work way better than positive. And
it's all about ratings.
Honestly, when you said, yeah, you think it works on Facebook, but maybe not on TV, I might disagree with that just because that's all we've been exposed to ever since TV's been invented is terrible news stories. So we don't really know what it would be like if they actually played like a constant stream of good stories. Like, what if a channel was on TV and it was news and all they did was talk about good news and then they slipped in a couple bad stories?
I don't know, man. I don't know if they would have as many, the good ratings that they're all looking for. They're all looking for these crazy, wild headlines. Man slaughters 20 people. They all want that headline on the newspaper or on the TV channel, which is kind of a sick thought. You know what I mean? They like make money off of these terrible tragedies.
So you're saying strictly on TV then?
Yeah, strictly on TV because they don't really. I mean,
well, that's the problem. Is most old people watch TV. Young people watch TV, but the numbers I'm pretty sure are lower.
And a lot lower for news. I mean, very, very few. I would think young people are watching the news on television.
I don't think young people are doing that. So it would be interesting to see, like, if someone did create a positive news channel, I guarantee you it would be a bunch of younger people tuning into that channel.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one negative story that they should be covering on TV and on the internet, I would say it's Fukushima, because that's a pretty fucked up situation.
But, I mean, we have to keep in mind that the wording says here that positive framing made pieces more popular, far more popular than negative framing. So that's a headline. In a positive way is more popular. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, I keep saying astral, and that's not how you say it. It's astral. So Johnny was saying that he feels like a shift is coming or is happening, right?
Yeah, it has to be. I mean, people are doing nicer things than they usually would. I mean, I see more people out here helping each other rather than keeping their backs turned. Like, I'll see people helping push out of a ditch or anything. Just, like, I see more, like, kindness. Maybe it's not because, like, I see positives, but then again, like, I see so many of them that it can't be ignored.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. And, I mean, there's two ways of looking at this. Either people are getting more positive, or people are looking behind the curtain and seeing how the world's been positive all along. And either way, to me, those are both movements of some sort.
Yeah.
I guess seeing this article finally come out saying that positive news stories are far more popular and viral than negative news story or headlines is interesting to me because haven't seen something like that in a really long time, if ever. From the New Yorker itself, like New Yorkers saying that's crazy.
Yeah, hopefully it's people learning to look past the negatives. Negatives only bring you down. There's no sense of letting something bother you. If it already happened, then it can't change. Getting pissy about it isn't going to do anything except for hurt you. So I always encourage people to look towards the positive and like see the better side of the picture. If you're in a bad situation, just think of what the meaning of that situation was. What lesson was meant to be learned?
Mm-hmm.
Why were you there?
I agree with that.
I think a lot of the positive changes that we're starting to notice, I think it is just noticing rather than ignoring it all, because people are always kind. I mean, kindness has always been happening. I think we're just starting to see that more. I think we're just starting to recognize that more. Perhaps it's happening a bit more, but for the most part, I think positive stuff has always been happening.
Yeah.
So you kind of
sure.
see it as like we're finally waking up and looking behind the curtain and seeing that, hey, the world isn't really what the news told us it was.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they've
Yeah.
been feeding us this negative image constantly, and I think we're just kind of pushing that curtain aside, and we're seeing all the beauty in the world that surrounds us on every day. The joy of life is just right before our eyes. It's right there in front of us, if you can see it.
I see. Something is being manipulated, whether it's the media or, I mean, even books we read or ideas we have about certain books are manipulated. A good point would be Charles Darwin. What's one thing you hear the most about, or most said when you mention Charles Darwin? It's survival of the fittest, right? Everyone's talking about competition, survival of the fittest. That's Charles Darwin. But the weird thing is they've actually counted the words in the book, and he wrote about selfishness or competition like around 12 times. And 92 times-ish, he talked about moral sensitivity.
Wow.
So actually it looks like competition is 9 times and 24 times of mutual aid. Somebody fucked with that interpretation of that book and went around and told everyone that's what he was trying to say. And to me, that's a little fucked up.
Yeah,
It's like they're taking the past and recreating it into something negative. That's how music is. They take past songs and they make new songs, but like they're completely changing what they're actually meant to portray.
Yeah, and you're a history guy, you said. Does it ever worry you that maybe the history you're learning about isn't necessarily the full truth?
Oh yeah. Like I think about that all the time because I'm here. I'm in 2014. Like I wasn't back there. I didn't travel in the past. I only know what I have experienced now, and what everything that I've heard, read, or spoke about from the past is just a thought, because the past is non-existent. The present is here, and that's what I see. I just try to decipher the best meaning that I can from it. I don't know. Past is difficult topic.
Yeah, like you said, it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, like they'll talk about it in school. They'll be like, "Oh, when George Washington said this." Well, it's like, well, how do you know? You weren't there. How do you know? I mean, unless you have it recorded or something. I mean, I know there's like books and stuff, or to say you know exactly what he said or exactly what he did or exactly what he was meaning when he did something or said something is just an opinion and a guess at best. That rhymed.
Right. Speaking of George Washington, he was a Freemason.
Was he?
Yeah,
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to become a Freemason. I was in the lodge, and there's a picture of him in his little purple apron, and they was like, yeah, he was a Freemason. Like, wow, that's something that hasn't came to the light for most people.
What exactly is the Freemasonry? I know a little bit about it, but I don't know much, and perhaps the listeners would like to know a little bit more about it.
Freemasons have been around since pretty much day one. They brought the seed to people, showed them how to grow, how to build buildings. They're just really skilled, and they know about society, and they think they know the best way to live because they have a code that you have to live by. You have to pay to be a Freemason. It's all fallen apart from what it has been in the past because there's so many people that want to be a Freemason now that it's almost lost its meaning. Like some sources you can find that Freemasons are into pantheism, which is monism. Everything is one. We're all the same. We're all connected type of deal. I'm not really too sure They just they're organized with each other and they help each other connected, I guess.
Their markings are on like a lot of like intricate building designs. Am I correct?
Yeah, like the G with the two rulers in the scale.
Yep. And if you look at a
That's
lot of the stuff that they've built, it's like wow, it's incredible craft.
yeah.
It's remarkable how they could build such elaborate buildings and stuff like that.
So are we sure if their intentions are evil or good? Do we know that?
There's the Freemasons and there's Knights Templar. The Templar are the more competitive ones. I hear they're a bit more evil per se than Freemasons. Most of the Freemasons that I've come across are just genuine individuals that are like loving towards people. But then again, there's good and bad everywhere, you know, like there's good politicians, there's bad politicians. So it all depends on where you go.
So maybe they are good in a sense that they're good to people, but when it comes to them thinking they know how things are supposed to be, they could end up making bad decisions or poor decisions. Because you said that they think they know how things should be run.
They have a code, and you kind of have to pay. So it's kind of like it's kind of strict, almost like a religion type of thing.
Yeah, it's almost like a cult. The Freemasons they're a bit intriguing, but then again, like, I wouldn't want to jump into something that I don't know 100% what it's about because they have quote-unquote secrets of life or keys to life. I don't know what they are. You know, like I could get in there and they're just completely teaching me about something that I don't believe in. And I don't want to be with anything that's other than what I believe in, what I stand for.
It might be a very controlling environment, much like religion per se.
I guess
very much so.
I guess whenever you have a small group of people that are super intelligent, they can make poor decisions even though they're super intelligent because they think this is the way it has to be, I guess. Or
it kind of goes back to that outside perspective. So you come in there knowing nothing about what they know, and you're kind of like, well, what you're doing is not right because you're an outside perspective.
Yeah,
they're in their cult, so they think whatever's in my cult is right. It's the way to go.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's kind of like if you followed a bunch of conservatives on Twitter and you're always looking at your feed, you're like, this is totally what people believe. This is totally the right way. These people are super convincing, so being conservative is the right way. Or let's say you're super rich and you start kind of like a group or a club and you only invite other rich, intelligent people. All of a sudden you don't really have that point of view of a poor individual that lives in, the slums or something, and you're making decisions based on what you see and what you've perceived throughout your life, and it doesn't always benefit everyone. It just kind of benefits people like yourself.
Yeah, so it's like good to know your opposite. Like if a rich guy was friends with a poor man, he might make better decisions because he'd have a better perspective. He'd be like, oh, well, why am I ripping off all these poor people when one of my best friends is poor? Maybe I should be, I can see how tough he's having in life. Maybe I should help other poor people.
Or they could be super intelligent people that are pulling all these strings in the exact way that help us, and we don't really see it because they're kind of behind the scenes. I really don't know, but it could be both.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I felt it. Like when people talk about the Illuminati, we don't know what they are. We don't know who they are, what they do. They could be helping us, but we don't see it. But they could be doing us wrong by feeding us all these chemicals, and it's just perspective. I mean, people have negative thoughts on them. People have positive. Like if they're running everything, controlling, and making the economy last, then, I guess they're kind of good. But if you look at it from the perspective that they're encouraging GMOs, pesticides, herbicides, fluoride, aspartame, all that shit, like you're going to see a negative perspective. There's always a whole picture that has little tiny pieces that you can look at. don't know how to look at them exactly, just because I don't know about them.
There's also a lot of different, from what I've read, there's probably 10 to 20 different groups of Illuminatis who all have kind of a different perspective, a different purpose. They're not like all the same. Like there's an Illuminati group in Japan, but then there's also like the original like Bavarian Illuminati group.
Oh yeah.
And those guys are supposed to be kind of like us, basically. They're kind of like rebels to society. I think they came up at a time where religion was very powerful. And I think the Bavarian Illuminati, I could be completely making this up, but I think I read this. They kind of just started their own society and rebelled against the religious tyranny.
Yeah, I've read about the Bavarian Illuminati as well. And it's funny that that movie, I can't think of what it's called. He's searching for that National Treasure.
National Treasure.
And they bring up this group, the Illuminati, and said that they were forced underground, and they had light, and the people just thought they were bad, so they just pushed them away and denied them.
They also bring up the Freemasons and the Knights Templar in that movie. That's in the first one. I know they do that.
Isn't the Templar in Assassin's Creed?
Knights Templar or just Templar?
I think it's just Templar.
I'm not sure. That could just be something different.
I don't know. I think they were trying to play off something in that series, but I'm not going to dive into video games right now.
Yeah, I didn't play that game. I heard good things, though. I know my friends used to play, and it was fun to watch them play. I never really got into it. But if you watch someone who's good at a video game, it can be really entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Assassin's Creed was pretty deep, like how they would go back and look into his genetics. So that's how they got to the past. Like they would take his genetics, and that's how they reached it. Went back into all his memories, past lives, family members. It's pretty crazy, man.
That's kind of like the Avatar. How the Avatar is just a combination of all his past lives. Which, if you think about it, aren't we all? Aren't we all kind of the Avatar? We're all built of these past lives. Those are inside of us. They don't go away. They're part of us.
Building blocks.
Yeah.
Building blocks.
Yeah.
Building blocks.
Yeah.
Building blocks.
Yeah.
Building blocks.
Yeah.